And then what did you make of Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC towards the end?
It was a flagrant foul.
Do you think it's like defending Caitlin or defending the team, or how do you view just how it all?
I view it as a flagrant foul.
What began as a heated moment on the court quickly turned into a symbol of a much deeper issue. Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC was the spark, but the resulting ejection was the explosion. Cunningham wasn't just any player. She was one of the few who had stepped up, loudly and publicly, to defend Caitlin Clark amid a season full of hostility. Her punishment felt less like a standard call and more like a message from the league. If you stand with Clark, there will be consequences. The moment wasn't just about a foul. It was about loyalty, retribution, and the increasing toxicity bubbling under the surface of WNBA dynamics. And while the officials may have seen it as a justifiable call, fans saw something else. A teammate being penalized not for what she did, but for who she was protecting. And in that moment, the story shifted. Cunningham's ejection didn't just remove a player. It stripped away the illusion that everything was under control. The WNBA's internal war was out in the open. In the immediate aftermath, Caitlin Clark tried to keep the focus on basketball. Reporters asked her about the win, about making it to the Commissioner's Cup, about her team's strong second half. But Caitlin's eyes said what her words didn't. She was furious. Not the kind of fury that comes from losing a game, but the silent rage of someone who's been pushed too far, too many times. Clark gave polite, clipped answers, but it was clear her mind wasn't on the scoreline. Sophie had been tossed out. The league had once again failed to protect her. And the mounting weight of being the WNBA's golden goose, while also being its most abused target, was clearly cracking her composure. This was a player who had brought in millions in revenue, made women's basketball appointment viewing, and still had to watch her teammate get ejected for having her back. The frustration wasn't new, but now it was undeniable, uncontainable, and on full display for the world to see. The whispers have turned into roars. Rumors of Caitlin Clark walking away from the WNBA are growing louder by the day, and it's not hard to understand why. Clark didn't ask to be the savior of the league, but that's what she became. Overnight, she transformed women's basketball from an afterthought into the main attraction. Viewership surged. Arena ticket sales exploded. Jerseys flew off shelves. But instead of being embraced, she was met with cold shoulders, hard fouls, and deafening silence from the league office. What was supposed to be a triumphant rookie campaign became a nightmarish grind through a league that didn't seem to want her there. Now, the idea that she could leave, either for Europe or something far more radical, feels less like fan fiction and more like a genuine threat. And if that day ever comes, the WNBA won't just lose a player. It'll lose its very reason for existing in the public eye. The numbers don't lie, and they paint a picture more damning than any headline. When Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, ticket sales jumped, merchandise revenue spiked, and television viewership hit historic highs. Her jersey outsold every other athlete's across all sports. Opposing teams moved their games to NBA arenas just to accommodate the demand when she came to town. But when she missed time due to injury, the league's ratings fell off a cliff, dropping a staggering 55%. One player was responsible for more than half the viewership. Let that sink in. Clark wasn't just a rising star. She was the league's financial lifeline. Yet despite carrying the WNBA on her back, she's met with bruises and elbows, not praise and protection. That contradiction reveals an ugly truth. The WNBA wants the money Clark brings in, but not the attention, the ego, or the power that come with it. And now, the clock is ticking on how long she'll allow herself to be both savior and scapegoat. Let's call it what it is. Caitlin Clark is being targeted. This isn't tough defense. It's calculated, sustained, and at times dangerous. Game after game, she's subjected to hits that would never be tolerated if they were aimed at any other high-profile player. Marina Mabrey's full-body check. Off-ball elbows. Eye pokes. Hip checks away from the play. It's no longer a coincidence. It's a strategy. And perhaps even worse than the hits themselves is the league's refusal to respond. Referees miss calls, or worse, downplay obvious flagrant fouls. The WNBA front office stays silent. And in that silence, the message becomes clear. If you want to go after Caitlin Clark, you'll probably get away with it. That's not just unprofessional. It's dangerous. It's sending a signal that the league's biggest star is fair game, and no one in authority plans to stop it. If the fouls weren't bad enough, the media response adds another layer of betrayal. Instead of calling out the abuse, analysts and commentators have turned on Caitlyn herself. They accuse her of being too confident, too cocky, too provocative. They frame her trash talk as justification for physical retaliation. But where was this energy when Larry Bird did the same? Or when Michael Jordan made a career out of psychological warfare? The truth is, Caitlyn's confidence only becomes a problem because it threatens the status quo. In a league starving for visibility, she brings it in buckets. But instead of celebrating her, they vilify her. This twisted double standard reduces a generational talent into a cautionary tale. Be great, but not too great. Be confident, but not too confident. Because if you shine too brightly, the very people who should protect you will turn on you instead. The league may be silent, but the fans aren't. Across TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube, a new movement has exploded. #ProtectClark. Fans have turned into detectives, dissecting replays, identifying uncalled fouls, and exposing the hypocrisy that officials ignore. They're not just defending Caitlyn Clark, they're putting the entire WNBA on notice. And it's not just casual viewers. Diehard fans are joining forces with new ones, united by one truth: Clark is being mistreated. And if the league won't act, the fans will. This grassroots crusade is more than digital outrage. It's a referendum on how the WNBA treats its stars. The people watching, buying, and supporting this league are demanding better. And if the WNBA won't listen to its fans, then the fans just might follow Clark, wherever she goes next. Now the speculation has turned into strategic theories. What if Caitlyn Clark just walked away? One option: Europe, where women's basketball is respected, paid, and protected. Another? Something bolder. A billionaire steps in and pays her to sit out, $50 million to prove that without her, the WNBA collapses. Or even bigger, a new league built around Caitlyn, rivaling the WNBA with real resources, support, and infrastructure. It sounds extreme until you realize how close it is to reality. The WNBA's refusal to value Clark may end up costing them not just her, but their entire grip on the sport. Because if Clark decides she's worth more than the abuse, and someone with deep pockets agrees, that's not just an exit. That's a revolution. And the WNBA may not survive it. Behind the hard fouls and cold stares lies something even more toxic: jealousy. Veteran players who've spent years in obscurity now find themselves in Caitlyn Clark's shadow. And instead of embracing the light she's bringing, many are trying to dim it. They claim she hasn't earned her place. But what does that even mean? She's packed arenas, moved merchandise, and tripled ratings, all in months. Still, they gatekeep. They ice her out. They take pride in making her pay her dues. And the league lets it happen. It's a bizarre, self-sabotaging ritual that has turned the WNBA into a house divided. And while they bicker over who deserves what, the foundation is crumbling beneath their feet. Because if Clark walks, she won't be the only one leaving. She'll take the future with her. There's a question that no one in the WNBA seems brave enough to answer. What happens the day Caitlyn Clark leaves? When the cameras stop rolling? When the arenas are half empty again? When sponsors pull their deals and ESPN finds another story to tell? The WNBA was handed a golden ticket, and instead of framing it, they're tearing it to pieces. If Clark stays, she signs up for more fouls, more silence, and more blame. But if she goes, it won't be failure. It will be survival. A declaration that her time, body, and legacy are worth more than a league that couldn't see her value. And the silence that follows her exit? It'll echo through every empty seat, every missed paycheck, every forgotten highlight reel. The WNBA is on the edge of a cliff, and the only person holding it up is the one they keep pushing down. And as this story continues to unfold, one thing is certain. We're witnessing a moment that could define not just Caitlyn Clark's legacy, but the future of women's basketball itself. Whether she stays and forces change from within, or walks away and builds something entirely new, the impact she's already had is undeniable. So if you've been watching closely, if you've been as outraged, inspired, or moved by this saga as we have, then you won't want to miss what comes next. This is more than sports. It's a cultural shift, a power struggle, and a battle for respect all rolled into one. So stay tuned, because we'll be here to break it all down as it happens. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join us on this ride. Because one way or another, the story of Caitlyn Clark is far from over. And trust us, you'll want a front row seat.